Our gross was $333, which was the highest ever. So $333,000 a year, wicked exciting. Of the $333,000, I believe that I turned $90,000 in profit. That is also non-exclusive of me giving myself a salary.
This show is dedicated to helping you build a one-person business that supports your life, not the other way around. I'm Andy Hill, and welcome to Solopreneur Life. And today, we're going to interview Theresa. Liz is a business mentor, web designer, and marketing expert based in the Boston area. She is the founder of LizTheresa.com, where she provides branding, copywriting, and high-end web development services designed to help entrepreneurs be the star they know they are. Today, we're going to discuss how she developed her profitable solopreneur business and the steps others can take to grow theirs as well. Welcome to the show, Liz.
Yay, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I am so glad to have you here. And just a little inside baseball, everybody. Liz and I have been working together for a long time. She helped me develop my stellar website that I have currently. And then we're going to stay on the call afterward for the update that's going to happen in the near future. But we're fantastic partners working together over the years, and I'm happy to have her on the show because I've admired her business and how she's grown it over the years, and I'm looking forward to learning from her. And speaking of that, Liz, what was your motivation for getting started with your web design business in the first place?
I had a really bad boss. There were a few motivations. I had a bad boss, and I was in graduate school, and so I was younger, and I would say I wasn't excited after that experience to just go keep having people tell me what to do, especially if they weren't nice. And so I did apply for lots of jobs. I was very close to getting a copywriter position. And I would say, I don't know how close I was, but to me, it was the closest I got was an in-person interview it was for a website that sold wigs. And so I would have been a wig product description writer and wear this wig out on the town with your friends, like kind of a wig writer. And so I got to the interview and the guy was like, he saw my graphically designed resume and I had like my headshot on it. And he was like, this job is going to suck the soul from your body. He said, you're way too creative for this. And I was like leaving this and I'm walking to my Volkswagen Beetle, which I think is an important detail because it just paints me at that time in my life. And I'm thinking like, wow, did that go well? Like, I was just like, was that not good? Like that I was so excited, like, cause I'm a lot, right? So I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I just want to help people with their businesses. I just want to help people. And she goes, you don't need permission, go do it. And that was the first time I realized that can be as simple as what a business is the desire. Like, well, I just know I can help this type of person with this specific problem. I know I can help a small business owner show up online in a way that makes them feel more confident and excited. And I never thought it could be as simple as just doing it in exchange for money. And that was kind of how I would say I fell into business. And over time, gradually, I was also an insurance agent at the time, making money doing that after graduate school. So I would go 4 days on insurance, 1 day on my business, 3 days on insurance, 2 days on my business. And eventually I was full-time in my business, working in the same executive center as the insurance office where I was also working. So I still had all the same friends. So we would still get lunch and coffees and hang out together. And so I didn't have to sacrifice my social network and all of my people. And they would still ask me to fix their computer, so I was still very in touch. But it was kind of nice because I could let go of all of that. And then it let me launch my business. And then also I used to be LizDowney.com, Downey being my maiden name. And I'm not related, or if I am related to Robert Downey Jr., it's so far, like he's not going to help me. So just so you know, we are related, but it's like, he doesn't know about it. But I am a Downey. But I was LizDowney.com, but then I think it's worth mentioning that I changed to Liz Theresa because I was really drawn to the idea that Theresa being my middle name, could be a fresh start for me. And that I could make Liz Theresa all of the things I loved about myself. So it's like basically me as a person with all of my favorite parts, having the volume turned really high.
I love that. That's incredible. Talk to the people out there who said, wow, she went for it. And it sounds like she was progressively downshifting from her corporate life or insurance life into growing her business. How did you get that first client? Talk to us about that. And then what steps did you take to make that happen?
So I am a bit extroverted and I'm introverted, but as you know, I get excited to be social. So when I was first getting into marketing, it was actually during my graduate program. My parents had a business. And so my parents needed help with their company. They used to own Morse Diving, which was the oldest manufacturer of diving equipment in the world since 1837. It's no longer in operation. That is a separate podcast. But at the time, they needed help with their marketing. So they said, Liz, can you help us with marketing? But you guys, I was getting a master's in English in my graduate degree. I had no idea about business. I just didn't know everything about it. So then I ended up remembering, I can remember this vividly now, is Googling what is marketing. And I remember Googling it and then reading everything I could about it after the fact. And that was kind of how I got started there. But one of the things I did was I messaged this girl. I found out who was marketing themselves well. It was her name was Gabby Bernstein, which everybody knows Gabby Bernstein is the spiritual guru, right? So then I looked up her interns that were managing her social media channel. So she used to have a social media platform at the time. This is now ancient history, but it was called Her Future, which was for women getting interested in business and spirituality and all that stuff. So you could go on there and it could you could engage and meet other people. So I was well, whoever the intern is would likely be the person working on the marketing for the company. So I was using logic, right? So then I went on Twitter, guys, okay? And I found the intern and I decided to be her friend, and legit, we were friends for years. And she introduced me to a set of a bunch of people who would become, I would say she introduced me to my first dozen clients. So it's not just how you meet your first one, it's how that can turn into many.
I love that. Yes. Expanding your network, growing your network, and finding ways to contribute both with your extroversion and introversion. I think I've seen more of the extroversion in our relationship, of course.
Yes.
But I see both sides of it for myself as well. When did you Googling marketing and making connections and networking that you decided to hone in specifically on web design, and then how did you make sure that was a decent way to make a living for you and moving away from insurance?
Well, what's funny is I never worried if it was going to be more money, because I just figured I have to make this work. So I don't know. I went into it with more of a gutsy naivete about I'm just going to make something happen. And very fortunately it did. I ended up focusing on websites specifically because one of my first clients, not one that I got through that friend that I made, but I met at a networking event, because that was how I got a lot of my first clients. I went to a BNI, and then I met the right person at the right time. And I was doing the social media for her new company. At the time, she had a different contractor doing the website, and he was charging I think he was charging then $2,000 more than I'm charging now. So he was charging a lot of money. And he also watermarked all of the photography he did for the website. So he did the photography and the website, and he made her pay another $5,000 to erase a watermark or something. And I was like, what a shark. She's just a lady. Looking back, I was like, that's rotten. And, he has his own life. He's alive still. He lives his life. I think he has a corporate job now. But at the time I was writing social media campaigns, I witnessed all this mistreatment. And then by the time it was time to go live, the website also had functional issues going on where it was difficult for users to check out. And specifically for e-commerce, and when you're doing marketing campaigns for an e-commerce website, if you can't buy something, people are going to get bored real fast and they're going to go to Amazon. So you want to make a checkout extremely easy to do. So then I realized your marketing is really only as effective as your website. And so on my website, I now have this really cool graphic designed pyramid where at the bottom, it's branding, and branding comes first, then copy, then website design, then traffic driving, in order of investment. So people, I think for her, it was unfortunate she hired the wrong person, but it's why it's hiring the right person at the beginning is so important, because it sets you up to have a much easier time later.
Absolutely. Those are good learnings of how you don't want to do it too. In the beginning, being I see that. That's not the model that I want to do. I want to do it this way.
I don't want to hurt people.
Yeah. Talk to me about this transition point from when you went from full-time insurance and also looking for other jobs to your point where you were doing this full-time.
Yeah.
Was there a moment in time where you said, okay, I am ready to leave? And how did you make that decision?
The wig job, after that interview, I had decided, I was well, no more jobs. And I wasn't going to go full-time in insurance just because they couldn't sustain that. It was a small office. And so what I did is eventually if I found myself working while I was an insurance agent, on the company, that was a sign I shouldn't be in the insurance office. So I didn't want to take advantage of my, who my boss at the time was one of my mentors, really, like, who I would say still supports me. He's still a client to this day. Like, and he went to both of my weddings, if you know what I mean. Like, he's like, we're so tight still, which is really special. And I think it was this, once I could finally, like, if you want to think about a financial threshold, once I could make my student loan payment, that was kind of a bar. Like, I remember I had like little bars. It was like, once I can buy an iPad and not be afraid to buy an iPad, that was a massive win. Once I could make my student loan payment, I was like, well, maybe this is a real company, and that was a big payment.
I love that. That's incredible. Yeah, those little thresholds, those were just confidence builders too, where you'd say, okay, well, if I can take care of that, then I should be spending more time on it. So maybe I could double what I have right now. Talk to me about how owning your own business and being a solopreneur has changed your life as opposed to maybe what you were starting from or the life that you were headed toward where you had become an employee.
So we're 15 years in, and I think my relationship to it has changed quite a lot. And when I launched my company, I wouldn't have even called it a company. I would have said, I just have a small business, and I would just all over myself. And I think all people do that, right? We're always like, oh, it's just this thing I'm doing. So I was extraordinarily humble. Once I started paying my student loan payment, that was $1,200 a month. Then I was like, oh, wow, there's money here. I would say my next financial challenge came when I was getting married the first time, and we had to pay a big amount of money to the venue. And at the time, my ex-husband was in a financial situation where he couldn't do it. But he used to be the one. To me, he was the breadwinner for sure. Like, he had a lot of more money than I did. And then I remember him saying, maybe we should postpone the wedding, which I'm like, red flag, no, because I'm like, oh yeah, now we're not married. So it's almost like he knew, but like didn't want to say, probably because he loved me, but like probably knew it wasn't right or something. But I didn't see it that way. So what I did is I ran a sale, and I ran my very first promotion as a business owner, and I needed to pay the venue something like $12,000 or $13,000, and I didn't have that kind of money. I had like a couple thousand, maybe a few $1,000s in my checking account. So I was like, okay, well, if I'm gonna have to pay them, I better earn it. So I ran a sale. I raised $22,000 in 10 days from the sale. And I was like, oh, wow. So I can just turn it on and turn it off. Like, I gave me I was amazed that I had that level of influence that people wanted to spend money here. And then I was also like, hey, look what happens when I just want it. Like, because I wanted it, it showed up. And that's such a mindset thing. Like, where you're like, oh, I can just go make the money by asking.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So autonomy, independence, control, and the ability to, as you said, turn it on when you want to, and have the seasonality to, not go so hard when you need to as well. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, and I think we all come up with safe numbers too, like for our checking account. Like, what number do I feel safe at? And at the time, I think I was safe at $5,000 or $6,000, maybe. Two, maybe even two. I mean, like, I felt safe at low numbers, or what I now consider to be super low. And it's just crazy because as I've become more successful, I feel like I keep raising the bar for what is acceptable in my account. That's a mindset thing too I'm working through, to not hoard.
I hear you on that, especially as a solopreneur business owner myself. I've had so many ups and downs where it's like revenue's really high, yay! And then I get a little spendy, and then there's months where it's not so high, or I am not working as much, and then I have that sort of hoarding mentality. So I'm in a season right now where revenue's good, and I'm trying to not just hoard all of it. I'm trying to use it to grow as well. It's a fine balance. Let's talk specifically about the numbers, because I like to do that. How much money do you make let's talk about this. How do you make money as a web designer? Just to help people understand the process. Is this hourly based? Is this package based? Just if anybody else is out there interested in doing this themselves.
No, this is such a good question. So I have a bunch of different revenue streams that are a part of Liz Theresa, the company. Websites are one of them. When I sell a website, everything is always flat. So like, it's a flat rate that you pay. Logos are also flat. This means you can charge a premium amount, and then exactly, you know your margin, because you're also hopefully keeping track of how much time something takes you. If you pay people, how much does it cost to pay the people to do the thing? How can you make sure you're charging enough money that you pay them, pay yourself, pay taxes? And so like you have to have margins, right? For me, I'm very much a personality where I like try to think about, like, I do it rather intuitively pricing. I charge the right amount of money that I can also tell you my prices too at the time of this airing if you're interested. But like what we charge for websites, like right now for my flagship program, Concept to Creation, it's $54.97. And I've had people tell me that that's too low. And then I've had people tell me, oh, that's too high. So this is to teach you. Pricing is quite subjective, as far as like what people can invest. So worry less about what other people think, worry more about like what's profitable, and make sure to raise your prices every couple of years. So that way you're not chasing your tail later doing it, because, things get more expensive over time. I think a collect call is more than $1 now. So that's one thing I would say. But yeah, everything that, like, I would say large scale projects are always flatted. We also have monthly retainer options. And that was a really big tamale to chew, because I switched away from hourly packages. A lot of website designers will sell hourly packages, but hourly packages can be an actual killer for a website business, because people could sleep on having 20 minutes left in their package for 9 months, come back and want to use it, and you're not Sears, like websites, you like how much, like what you're selling is your time, and you don't have an infinite amount. And so you can end up chasing your tail or getting into trouble. It forces you to keep very scrupulous records because people get obsessed about their hours. So I switched to a retainer model. It's much healthier because people know what they're coming. They know what they're getting. They know what they get every month. There's no surprises. We do still have scrupulous reports, but we rarely go overtime because I am good at it. I keep my eye on it. I know what's going on at any given moment. So I would say you have flats, then that would be monthly recurring revenue. And then there's also annual recurring revenue if you opt to sell something like hosting. The way that could work is if you're a reseller. So I'm a Pressable Pro partner. I'm very proud and excited about that. Pressable is owned by WordPress. So it's very prestigious and cool that I can sell actual WordPress hosting to WordPress websites. And it's excellent quality too. But that's recurring revenue. Some people will sell whatever has the best affiliate commission. But what I would say is the more you know about websites in general, and the more you know about web development, the less often I want to see you reselling something as awful as Bluehost. I'm sorry, Andy, if they do sponsor the show. But
no, they don't sponsor the show. I started out with Bluehost, and then it was fine for a period of time. And then when I actually got traffic, then it was like, okay.
Oh, they can't handle it.
You can't handle traffic.
No. They used to have the best commission. They used to give $60 to $100, I think, for a commission. And now, now I think they still might. And then there's a lot of articles out there where it's like, how to start a blog, sign up at Bluehost.com. And I'm like, hurts me. But
No, I hear you. Well, let's talk about monthly income then. I like to talk about profitability because I think sometimes revenue can be, I don't want to say deceiving, but you could make $300,000 and spend $300,000 and not give yourself 100%. A dime, and that's not really what I want to try to focus on. How much do you pay yourself per month, or how much profit are you making per month?
Yeah, well, can I tell people all the numbers because it's easier for me to do math that
absolutely,
way?
Yeah, whatever's easier.
Because we just got our 2025s back, our taxes came back today. Our gross was $333,000, which was the highest ever, so $333,000 a year. Wicked exciting. Of the $333,000. I believe that I turned $90,000 in profit. That is also non-exclusive of me giving myself a salary. So we're a S corporation. So that means that I get like a paycheck just like everybody that works here. So, and my salary is a bit of a pittance, but it's a strategic pittance because I was advised by my accountant to do it that way, to pay myself minimal amounts because I'm allowed to take money from the cookie jar whenever I want to, and then she figures it out later. So that's kind of how we do it. So my salary is $40,000, and then I have other people that work here that one person makes salary, and then I have another person that doesn't make salary, but she probably could if she asked me, but she gets a really good, an excellent hourly wage. I pay people really well. We're all USA too, which I'm really excited about. But my margin is interesting. The 90,000 is excellent. And what's crazy is the year before, Andy, when I was wicked sick and like we didn't know and whatever, I had spent so much money on coaches and healers and consultants on the business because I was like, am I sick because I'm a bad business owner? Like, am I a bad person? So I was hiring way more people because I didn't feel good. I had a lot more expenses the year I didn't feel good, even though I had still grown the business 11% in 2024, which was really cool.
That's incredible. Well, congratulations on your success coming from, hey, I'm going to try this out to 15 years later, being in the 300,000s for revenue and then being able to pay yourself good money and have big profit. And the employee side of thing, I want to ask about the transition there.
Yeah.
When did you bring on your first employee you were a solopreneur for a period then, and you said, okay, you probably did some contract thing for a bit and then it turned into an employee. Talk to me about that path.
Yeah, so Zach was my first significant hire. I had VAs before, but I met Zach because I had a client who had hired me for a project. She insisted on using her own designer, whose name is Brett. Brett was wonderful. I won't name the client, but this happened. So Brett was awesome. I was the developer, so I was like the Zach on the project. And then I built the site, but then I never heard from her. And I was like, hey, what's going on with this thing? And then I go to look it up and it had been replaced by a way different looking website. And then I go, what the hell happened? And she goes, oh, nobody told you were fired from it. And I was like, nobody told me I was fired? Like, I'd known this woman for years. And she's like, well, I still pay you for other stuff. And she's like, and I'll pay you for whatever you did. She's like, but I hired a new developer named Zach. And I was like, oh, I hate him. Like, he's horrible. Like, what a jerk. Took my client. Like, I was so mad. And then he and I met, and then we had this really great connection. And then I kind of had in the back of my mind, not that I was going to hire him, but that I was like, oh, if I ever come into a project and I'm hitting something like hard, like if it's too hard for me, I knew that he had better chops than me. Like, it's like I can do everything Zach can do, but he can do it in 5 minutes. That's the difference. Like, he can do it so much faster because his brain neural pathways are just used to it. And he is trained for WordPress to front end development, and can do code and all. And I can do it, but like I said, it's so much harder for me. That's when I met him. I didn't hire him until 2015. And I remember it was because I remember laying awake at night. And I don't know if Andy, if you remember this time, but at this time, people were doing midnight launches. And so that meant people would be like, oh, at midnight, you can get into my coaching container. You can get into my coaching program. I had clients that were all coaches, all doing midnight launches. So at 11:45, I would set an alarm to get up, go downstairs, walk to my desk, because you couldn't queue launches then. It was different. So then I would have to blast the email and hit publish, because that's just how it went. Like, it was just older systems. So like, and a lot of it was hard coded, like HTML sales pages. So that was just kind of how you did it. And then I was like, okay, now I'm ready to hire somebody. I'm tired. I was like old enough. I was married. I was like, I'm a settled person. I shouldn't be getting up at 11:45 for anything. I never wanted to be a realtor because you work the weekend. Like, there are things where I draw lines, and that was my first line. And so I reached out to Zach. He had been working for another company. So it was intense. So I was a bit of a shark, and I said, I'll give you $5 more an hour. And he came.
And you went for it.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm surprised too that he picked me, but he did.
I like it.
Yeah.
Zach, I've had a chance to work with Zach. Zach's fantastic. Not only is he a great programmer, but he's also a very good communicator too, especially when people like me are not understanding how things are working. He explains it very, very well. So kudos to you on that great hire. So it sounds like what you've developed now has been a very big change for where you were 15 years ago. How many hours do you typically work per week in your role? And I know that you are a mom and you've had a lot of things going on in your life over the past 3 years. Talk to me about hours, flexibility, and all that thing as a solopreneur that you are.
Super flexibility. I rarely do calls on Fridays. Unless somebody's like their checking account's going to explode if I don't take $5,000 from them. I'll talk to them on a Friday. So I rarely do calls on Fridays. I don't do calls on Wednesday mornings. Like, there are like things that I've built into my schedule to create boundaries around when people can book with me. Because calls, I think, are the thing that can really wreck a schedule if you don't have your call times orchestrated. And for me, I'm an extroverted introvert. So like, I show off this personality and then I have to lay down and hug my dog. But this is like who I really am. But like, I get so I fly right into the sun, and then I'm like, okay, it's time to lay down for a while. And I work similarly. I work in bursts. Like, I'll just Like if I look at my hours, because we track everything, and of the hours in a day, yesterday I worked a really long day for me and it was highly unusual. I had 6.5 billable hours, and I would say I probably sat at my desk for 8 to 8.5 hours. Don't think I sat here for 9. Because I got up in the middle of the day, I went to Dunkin', I did whatever I wanted, like love my dog. My son was home because we had a massive storm here in Boston, big blizzard at the time. So I'm very flexible, but that's a huge value for me. I feel like we have to build that stuff in because otherwise it's not going to be fun, even if you like what you do.
I love that. Yeah, having some flexibility and some variety. I like you taking Fridays off. I think that it's something that I do myself too, because sometimes things will happen on the weekend. You need that extra travel day. You need that extra prep day. It's just nice to do that. I have a question for you. If somebody's interested in maybe looking into web design services or marketing in general, and they're just getting started out now, how much do you think a typical person could make in their first year just saying, hey, I'm going to do what Liz did. I'm going to put myself out there, help people design sites. What do you think? What do you think somebody could make, and is that feasible for them?
I reinvested a lot of my money too. So in the first year, I might have made $12,000. Like I didn't make a lot of money. Year 2, I probably made like 30 to 40. Like I did better as I went over time. Yeah, maybe I would say 12,000, 22,000 the next year, 34. I grew very gradually, but I reinvested 100%. So meaning like it would be easier. It's easier when you're young and you had nothing to lose. I was young. I was 21 when I was doing this, and now I'm 38 and I'm fine with it. Okay, it's fine. And and like a lot of time has passed, right? And so I've learned a lot, but I would say the best thing I ever did was reinvest 100%. By reinvest, I mean don't hesitate to spend money on people first. So the right help first. Everybody hires too late. I should have chased Zach when I met him and got him here, but I didn't know I was at that level. It's like you have to move your ego to the side and look at things rather pragmatically, and don't invest. Don't say like I'll only buy it if I know it'll make me $500. It's not how business works. It's who you hire and who you know and who you meet. That's where money is. Money is people.
I love that. Yeah, your network is way more important than your net worth. Absolutely, I completely 100%. Agree there. I have a segment here that I like to do at the end, Liz, called the Solopreneur High Five. These are short, quick answers that help people get an understanding of how you've grown your business and how it operates. So the first question I have here is, what is your favorite tool, app, or subscription that helps you stay a successful solopreneur? Basecamp. I love tell people about what that is.
So Basecamp, you guys, is a project management platform. It's excellent for people that work in websites or any sort of digital marketing, social media, anything where you're creating assets for a client to review, because clients can also interface in Basecamp. It has a killer app. It can do time tracking built in. I don't use that part of it, but it can. It has a ton of features. It ain't cheap, but it's awesome. If you're a solopreneur, investing in a project management tool like Basecamp or Asana, the free level, would be fine to start with, just to get your feet wet with task management. It also helps you divide and conquer.
I like that. Gets you out of the email grind too, because it's like, which email did I find and how that works. I use Asana. I like that well. And I know you and I have worked on Basecamp for some of our projects too. Second question, how is AI impacting your business?
That's wicked interesting. So some people are like, Liz, aren't you scared? And I'm like, no. That's how they talk too. It's concerning. But I always like to say AI is a tool. And but it also is a tool. Like, as in like a tool bag, like an insult. So you just gotta not take everything at face value. A lot of times people will come to me and they'll be like, I want a logo, and I used AI to generate this art concept. And for concept art, AI is excellent. At communicating sometimes when a client is at a loss for words and they can't draw. So for graphic design and branding projects, that's how AI has intervened. For website projects, I would say it hasn't intervened as much, other than to clean up database spreadsheets and save me time of going into Excel and fixing a spreadsheet for like database imports, which is nerdy stuff that consumers don't usually have to do. And then I would say with copy, it has affected copy though. Not that we sell less copy, but I can tell you, I recently did a copy rewrite for a client who hired us for a revamp. I implemented everything on her website. It was beautiful. 2 weeks later, it was AI copy. It was all gone, or everything erased. I was like, wow, you gave me so much money. Like, and then it's gone. So I was like, I think people need to think it's less of a authoritative figure. And remember, it's an algorithm, not a person.
And it can look a little bit templatized after a period of time as well, where you can just say, okay, yes.
Yeah, I was like, she doesn't talk like this. This is nonsense.
I like that. Okay, very cool. Okay, what was the worst mistake you've made on your solopreneur journey so far?
One time, I don't know if this is the worst, but I was building a website for a company and he was like, looks good. So I was like, okay. And then I built it. And then he said, oh, wait, I didn't like it that much. And I was like, you said looks good. So then I implemented sign-offs and approvals. And so it was just, I like to say mistakes are just classes you don't have to take or attend. You know, they're expensive and then they're over. So it was a little
I think that's great. That is a very good tip for people out there too, especially when it comes to service-based business. All right, question number 4. When you're not working on your business, Liz, what is something you enjoy doing outside of work? You mentioned the doggy. Anything else?
Yes. I have a son, Leo, who's amazing. He's 6. And I also do Zumba every Saturday. So these are things I love to do. And I'm a big voracious reader. And I love to read fiction. A lot of people in business read a lot of self-help. And sometimes I need less advice. So I much rather read like a thriller or something fun.
I love it. What's your favorite fiction book as of late that you're like, oh man, I would throw that out?
Oh, I have so many. I would say not a thriller, but Midnight Library is one of the best books I've ever read. Have you ever read that one?
No, I haven't. I need more fiction in my life, and my wife is very good at consuming fiction novels. I'm the guy that you mentioned earlier that reads too many
self-help books. Yeah,
yes.
No, because honestly, that book is very that is a crowd pleaser recommendation. And then I'm like, for my thriller people, anything by Taylor Adams, particularly No Exit, is the fastest book I've ever read. And it has I think it had a Hulu made a show about it, but that is the fastest book.
All right. These are good recommendations out there. Thank you very much. Awesome. And then the last question, Liz, what does retirement mean to you now, since you seem to enjoy what you do so much? What does retirement mean to you? I thought about that
actually, probably because I was thinking about our conversation that we were going to have. And then Andy, today, you might die laughing, but I got this email from 401go that does our company 401k. And I clicked it and I didn't even know I have a 401k in there because I thought I only had a Roth IRA. And so I keep throwing money in my Roth, which I think is great, yay. But I found $20,000 that I didn't know was there. And I was like, well, that's a significant amount of money I didn't know about. So that was exciting. And then I was like, oh, Andy's going to die. So I would say my relationship with it is that I'm perpetually worried by the commercials that tell me that you have to save a lot of money towards it. But I can tell you that the way that my brain may be piecemealing that concept as a person that doesn't work in money is that I paid off my student loans in 2025. And I had originally had $121,000-ish in student loan debt. And that was a huge milestone. And I was afraid to tell people because I didn't want to look too successful or people would hate me. Isn't that silly?
That's interesting. Well, I mean, that's a big deal to pay off that amount of money. That is a 6-figure sum. So congratulations. That was just last year. That's incredible.
It was. And then I think to myself, and then I paid off my mom's car because she was gone. And then I had to do that. My business has allowed me to. And then I think about my next thing to pay off would be my car. But then Andy, maybe is it okay if I ask you a question? Because I'm like, is it smart that I keep looking for things to pay off? Would it be smarter? Like, my interest rate on my car is 6 to 7%. I have a $16,000 balance ish on my car. My house interest rate is 0.75%. So it's really low and no one has golden handcuffs. That's what you say, or people say. And so it's hard. And so I'm like, I have about $300,000 I imagine I owe on my house. I have about 16,000 I owe on my car. Is it smart to pay these things down before you start investing or go more aggressively at investing in retirement? Because I have it on auto pay right now, my IRA.
I would say that the reason I asked you the first question was if you like what you're doing right now and you see yourself doing that in retirement.
Yeah, I do.
That is your retirement income. And
I don't have to stop.
That's okay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think people invest in these 401ks and Roth IRAs and things like that because they hope someday that they will have an income stream so that they don't have to work where they are. And since you like what you do,
I love
you could see yourself doing this at 60, 70. And now it'll probably be a time where you're like in your 70s or 80s, you're like, okay, I don't want to do that anymore. But I'll do it for 5 hours a week, or I won't do it at all, or I'll consult. And that's okay. So I guess what I'm saying is, sounds like you're doing well with your IRA, and you're I don't know if you're still contributing to your 401k or not.
I am, and I didn't know, but yeah.
And that's good. I would say what's weighing on your mind the most? Does the car bother you that you have that? Does it bother you that you need to? It
bothers me that it's rusted a little already, and I'm still making
and you're still making payments on it. Then pay the bad boy off. Pay it off.
Make you mad? Yeah, pay it off and get rid of it.
What is it? 7%? You said something like that.
Yeah,
pay it off. Yeah, pay it off.
Screw that car.
Absolutely.
I'm tired. I love Hyundai. I'm so tired of Hyundai after this car. I need a Hyundai hiatus.
Yeah, I mean, for somebody who's successful like you, and your business is your retirement plan, go with how you can psychologically treat yourself, and say, I would like to never worry about my car payment again on this car that is older. That would make me feel pretty good. Then do that. You know what I mean?
Oh, then I love that.
So, I mean,
that feels like it makes sense, like, for my brain.
It does.
Because I'm never worried about the house. Like, I'd love to pay that off someday.
I mean, what did you say the rate was on the house?
0.75.
You have a 0.75 mortgage rate on the house?
Yeah.
How?
Because I bought it years ago, and I got it right before the world went crazy.
Wow, I didn't even know those existed. So yeah, I would not touch that for a long time.
So you wouldn't touch it? No. Yeah, I tell
make
people,
your payments,
and they're like, "Are you kidding?"
Make your payments and everything. But
I think it might have been,
I wouldn't
because
put extra.
Also it was a special VA. We're a VA loan. We had a weird.
Okay, yeah, excellent. That's great.
Closing.
Yeah, no, that's very, very good. No, I would leave that to be one of the last things you conquest. Absolutely. Yeah. So you're doing great. No, the reason I ask is that if you really like what you do right now, then retirement itself changes the definition.
I can't picture it. I am always going to do something fun.
Then I wouldn't worry about all these commercials that are saying max out your 401k, max out your Roth IRA, things like that.
Yeah, they're scary.
So that they have an incentive, right? What is their incentive? To make you feel fearful so that you make money by doing that. And they're not evil. Yes. That's just that's a common fear that people will think, I'm going to die and I'm going to be poor. And some people grew up poor and they're like, well, I never want to be in that situation again, so I'm going to listen to this commercial. But what you've done, you've built your empire. You've built your wealth. You have something that pays you a healthy income right now, and you can see yourself doing that for a long period of time. Now, covering yourself with emergency funds and business emergency funds, that's always a smart thing to do during those tough times, which you've seen in your life over the past few years. And if you can be as successful as you are today, Liz, with all that you've been through over the last 3 years, I cannot imagine where you'll be in the next 3 years.
That made me feel good.
Well, I mean, it's a testament. I mean, this is you
and
I talking about something. Tell people, please.
You guys, I lost my mom in 2023, at the end of 2023. And then which was shocking. And she was only 65. So talk about all this idea of saving for retirement. She actually had started aggressively saving for retirement. She had a pretty good 401k for never having had one. And she didn't have it till she was in her 60s. And I was so proud of my mother. Greatest salesperson that ever lived, taught me everything I know about sales inadvertently, just by being a magnetic and exciting and energetic personality. Her name was Donna, and people don't say it enough. But I lost her very suddenly. And then in February of 2024, I got sick. I got pneumonia, we thought at the time. And I was so sick that in February 2024, I couldn't pick up my dog that I was going to adopt from the shelter. So my husband did. And now the dog likes my husband the best. And now I'm second best, which is fine. But it was because I was sick that day. If I had driven the car, she would have picked me. But then I was sick forever. So I was sick from February 2024 till September. And during that time, I developed a lump on my shoulder around my lymph node area. I had actually proceeded to get imaging on it, even though they told me it was benign. And then the imaging people said, looks benign. And I said, but I'm so sick. And then they really didn't know what to do with me. They wanted to throw me into like a GI specialist because I threw up once. And I was like, girl, I have a fever every day. I had a fever, night sweats. This is my message also being that always please buy imaging for yourself. Even if your doctor is minifying your symptoms, go take a picture of your body, like save your life. Not that you have cancer, but at least like you might have something weird in there doing something to you, affecting your hormones or throwing you off. So it turned out I lit up like a Christmas tree. Like I had stuff in my face, like little cancers. You could see it on an x-ray. It was here, chest, tummy, other thing, armpits, like it was everywhere. I had Hodgkin's lymphoma. I didn't find out till I had a biopsy on this. So once I lit up, I had to ask for a surgeon to remove this. So I went to my PCP and I said, I want this out, even though you said it's benign. She said it'll just grow back. I said, I want it out. Like she really didn't believe me. So I go, get me a surgeon. And she goes, well, you're going to need one. And I go, on Facebook, do I find one? Like, where do I find a surgeon? I was like, get me a surgeon. Like she like made me like look a little. And then she's like, I guess go to an ENT because it's near your neck and throat or whatever. So I go, fine. So I found an ENT. I think the ENT looked at me and was like, lymphoma. Like, I think she knew I had some type of lymphoma. Lymphoma itself is actually not uncommon. Lymphoma is 1 in 12 people or 1 in 23. I could be getting that number a little wrong. In their lifetime could get some form of lymphoma. I ended up with Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is 1 in 100,000. I call it the Christmas cancer because it just keeps on giving. But no, what's really true about it is that it's the good it's the good lymphoma. It's the good Hodgkin's. The non-Hodgkin's is the bad Hodgkin's, which is much more common. My regular Hodgkin's was good Hodgkin's, but you still do 6 months of chemo. So like my hair was like so big and now it's a little smaller, but it's hella thick though. I mean, I have it halfway up right now, which is exciting. I can do that. But I did go through 6 months of chemo. I lost a client that when I told her about it, she said she didn't trust me anymore to complete her project. And then I said, hope you find a website designer with less cancer next time then. I was like, the fuck? I yelled at her, and it felt so good to send an email like that. And then she was like, it's not because of the cancer. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I'm like, you only fired me right when I told you, and you suddenly didn't trust me. I'm mad because I have a team, Andy. This is the thing. The business ran with cancer, ran through treatment. We grew 11%, 2024 to 2025. And then last year, 2025, aggregate growth was still 5%, and we were far more profitable because I got better. I was completing treatment. I completed it in March. My bell anniversary is March 10th, and that's going to be an emotional day for me. That's crazy. It's crazy. The ringing the bell is intense too, because something that I liked about that is that they put it on, I don't know if I ever told you this, but they put it on a separate floor from the main floor of cancer people. And they do that because they don't want the sad cancer people to hear it. But they still want you to celebrate. So it's a really fraught, to ring the bell is very fraught. But I remember I had to go upstairs to ring the bell on my family, my smaller family, because my dad refuses to come into the city because he doesn't travel well. He's not very portable. And then my mom wasn't around. So my brother came, and it was very special, beautiful moment. Yeah. And now, I'm here. I'm in remission. I just have to go. I think I have my next scan. I don't know. July, I think, is my next scan. And then I have to go for like checkups. And I miss my oncologist. He's adorable and a sweetheart. And I just love him. But, I'm happy. You think you're supposed to go on with your life. But even ending cancer was weird because it's almost like getting out of the military and you don't know what to do with yourself. Because like all you have are appointments and everybody wants you. Then all of a sudden cancer's over and nobody wants you anymore. So like they pulled out I didn't cry. Like I cried a little when I rang the bell. They pulled my port out. So I have like another scar here. And when they pulled this out, I was so emotional because I was like, oh wow, this thing saved my life. Like this was where you get all the medicine that saves your life goes through here. But what's crazy is when you start chemo, like after a diagnosis like that, you feel instantaneously better, which is like really interesting. Like all my symptoms went away. Like you've no idea. I would change my shirt twice a night. That's how much I sweated. And they didn't know. And they were just like, yeah, maybe you have IBS. And I was like, you're crazy.
Be an advocate for yourself, right? Right, everybody?
Buy imaging, be your own advocate. Don't let people tell you it's anxiety.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That is not the first time that I've heard that too from other people in my life that knew something was wrong with their body. And
Oh my God.
lots of people said,
I
nah,
hate that.
nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. Just
And
go
I
back.
hope they got the help.
They did. They got the
Yeah.
help, and they're currently fighting it and have fought it as well. So it's you just got to be your best advocate and fight for the life that you want. And Liz definitely has showed us the way today, everybody.
Yeah.
Liz, thank you so much for your inspiring story and for being so transparent on your business growth. Where's the best place for people to connect with you, learn more from you, or maybe work with you on your services?
Yeah, LizTheresa.com. It's LizTheresa, LizTheresa.com, or you can listen to the Liz on Biz podcast. Andy, you've probably been a guest. I'd be shocked if you weren't a guest, but you should probably come back.
We should do that. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I would love
we need a
that.
comeback
Absolutely.
episode.
Perfect.
Oh, and then you can download, if you're interested in visibility, you can download my free visibility cheat sheet, but it is cool. It's just a one-sheeter, but it gives you 7 specific ways to increase your visibility, and it's at cheatsheet.liztheresa.com.
Absolutely. If you are a solopreneur and you're looking to grow and get visibility for your business, that is a great resource, everybody. Liz, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Me too.
If today's interview got you fired up about pursuing your own solopreneur journey, check out my new book, Own Your Time. I include simple financial steps that will help aspiring solopreneurs and side hustlers move towards a life of freedom and away from the corporate grind. Check it out in the links below, and you can grab it and move forward on your journey today.